Hello everyone, and welcome finally to the music analysis of the guitar solo Domination by Pantera. I did a poll like 2 months ago asking which one of these solos would you like me to do an analysis on, and it was Domination by Pantera, Goodbye to Romance by Ozzy Osbourne, I believe Dancing with the Dead by Powerwolf, and some Ghost guitar solo. And Domination won on both Instagram and YouTube, so we're finally doing Domination. 2 months late, but I was lazy. I was lazy, and also school and work made me even lazier. But it's finally here, and let's see what Dan Bagderel cooked for us. The song is written in E minor. That's the scale. It's in the key of E. By key of E, it means the tonic center is the note E, or the chord something E minor, E major, usually one of those. So again, but the scale that's used mostly is E minor, so the tonic is usually the E minor chord. So let's start. So we're gonna start off with the first lick. Start off with this. You can immediately hear which scale which mode he's using, but let's continue. Now, if you know your modes, you would immediately tell that he's using the Phrygian dominant here. From these 3 notes alone. The Phrygian dominant has 2 different intervals than the minor mode. That's the minor mode. Actually, I'm gonna play it a little higher. That's the minor mode, and that's the Phrygian dominant mode. Minor scale, sorry. And now that's the Phrygian dominant mode. Now, 2 things to say. You have 2 different intervals in this mode, so that makes it much harder to write a guitar solo in. But Dan Bagderel didn't use a harmonic backing track to write this solo. When you don't have a harmonic backing the guitar solo or whatever melody, you have a lot more freedom to do whatever you want. And he didn't stay in key, so you can pretty much do whatever he wants, as long as he stays in key. Now, he can change keys, but it will sound really harsh, which he didn't here. He did a really good job writing this guitar solo. I mean, again, I can't be giving Dan Bagderel tips. He's a god compared to me. But yeah. So that's what he did. He basically used the Phrygian dominant to write down this lick. And he made sure we know that he's using the Phrygian dominant, first of all, by starting off in these 3 notes. The 2 Phrygian notes, the descending leading tone that you see in the Phrygian mode, which has 1 interval difference, but the other interval difference is the risen third, which makes it very clear we're using an exotic scale, Phrygian mode in this case. And also, he stops at the 3rd degree, which that solidifies that he's in the Phrygian dominant mode, because he stopped at the big change that happens in the Phrygian mode and the minor mode. That note, it's the risen third. That's why it sounds exotic. It sounds different. Alternatively, he could have stopped at the 2nd degree. It sounds way darker because the Phrygian mode in its nature is much darker than the Phrygian dominant mode. He could have done that, and it would have sounded fine, but I mean, you could agree that the Phrygian dominant sounded way better. Also, again, we're used to this this sound, so hearing it stopping at any different note is weird to our ears. Anyways, so this is the second part. This is it's something like that. So what he did here was play the dominant, the note B, and the 6th, and then a tonic, the E note, and again a semitone legato, hammer on, more like it. which says we're in the Phrygian mode. Because there isn't the third degree in here, we can't say he's in the Phrygian dominant. He's still in the Phrygian dominant, because saying he suddenly changed from Phrygian dominant to Phrygian without having the change, which is the third degree, is a little weird. So I'm gonna say a Phrygian dominant in this case. Then he plays the E, which is the tonic. Then he played a semitone down, which is the D sharp or the E flat note. Now, you can say he changed to a harmonic minor, because the D sharp doesn't exist in both the Phrygian mode and the Phrygian dominant mode, even in minor mode. But it does exist in the harmonic minor mode. Not mode, scale, sorry. But I would argue that he's doing a chromatic note. Why? Because he immediately solves it in here. So what he did, something like that, and he did it he waited at the chromatic tone a bit. And again, there is no backing track. It's easier for him to do that. So the second part is it's the most tough part in the entire guitar solo. The guitar solo itself isn't that bad, but this part makes it kind of hard for average guitar player to play this guitar solo. Even I need to warm up quite a bit to be able to play this part really clean. So hopefully I did warm up. But yeah, it's a decent guitar part, but a lot of interesting things are happening here, because he doesn't use any modern writing technique or even classical writing technique to write this part. So he does play something like this. So what happens here? He's actually playing a diminished chord, believe it or not. That's a diminished chord. But what he's doing, he's playing the diminished chord out of key. He's playing a run of diminished chords and he's stepping down a fourth each time. Now, it's like stepping a circle of fifth type of fourths. He can do that. But it's a diminished chord, so a lot of notes are different. So I think what he did here, it's not about it being a diminished chord, a diminished arpeggio in this case, but I think he's trying to play the same intervals over and over again, which he can do that, especially because he doesn't have a harmonic track. Anything in harmony that backs the guitar solo. By the way, most of the technique written here just because of that. I'm just saying. His other guitar solos don't, like, if they have a guitar backing track, they sound way different. And if this one had a harmonic backing track, it will sound a lot different. So that's what he did here basically. So he did an E diminished, an A diminished, D diminished, G diminished, B diminished, and then E diminished again. And that's how he fixed it actually, because he can play the same intervals over and over again, so it's something like that. But because he stopped at the tonic again, it means he got back to home, which is the way you're supposed to use the technique. He did it really well. Again, it's Dimebag, of course he's gonna do it really well. Anyways, that's the next part. So again, if you know your intervals and chords, you'll immediately tell that's a minor chord. And immediately plays the diminished chord. To be specific, the G minor chord and the G diminished chord. So it's like he did something like that. Sounds a little harsh when it's in harmony, but in a melodic context it works because it's only a semitone difference. Even in harmonic context it works, but it just sounds really harsh because usually you don't want to include the relative of any chord. If you play minor, usually you don't want to include its major, and if you play diminished, you don't want to include a minor and stuff like that. Unless you're doing Picardy, which is another case because he starts the song with a minor and ends it with a major. It's the same thing basically, but Bach knows better than me because it's his technique. So anyways, now we're in here and he does a full tone bend, and that bend takes us from D to E. Could be he's still within key, still within the E minor key. Now we're in here, he does something like that. Common lick. Now he's in the E minor. Actually, he's not using a Phrygian or Phrygian dominant or anything like that. It's the natural E minor. Starts at the dominant, which is the note B. Plays the notes of the scale. Steps, melodic steps and arpeggios, which is fine. It's in key, all good. The next part, which is that. Sorry. Again, still in key. He starts at the second degree and bends the 17th tone and a half. Again, we're still in key. It's all good. And the next part goes something like that. My bad. So here's what he's doing in here. He's doing chromatic notes, and he's doing it really well because a lot of metal musicians mess up with their chromatics because they don't know how to use them, and that's how you're supposed to use them. On beat, you play the notes that are in key, or strong beats, or usually on beats. You can do chromatic notes on weak beats, but it still sound harsh. Usually it should be between beats, like it's happening in here. That's a beat in key, off beat, not in key. Sorry, on beat in key, off beat, not in key, on beat on key, off beat not in key, and then he does the chromatic, basically pull off, which again it's chromatic, so it's allowed. Actually, the 14th, that's an F sharp, so it is in key. Very classical, this thing alone. And then he does. So what he does usually is play with the whammy bar on the 17th, but I don't have that. So what I do is basically bend the 19th. Same notes, but using whammy bar is a different technique, different alterations, so it will sound different, but it's the same notes. So if you don't have a whammy bar and you want to play this guitar solo, you can do that. It will sound similar. And in here, it's a bend, or it's a whammy dive of 2.5 semitones. It's impossible to do without a whammy bar, so I'm taking the L on this one, here too. And in here, he plays basically a run, starting off at the C note, C note, 6th degree of the scale. He's in key in here. But the thing is, if he had a backing track, he needed to use the 6th degree chord to play this guitar lick, or the 2nd or the 4th, usually something that has the 6th note. But in this case, it's best if he used the 6th chord degree, which is the C major in this case. But again, no backing track, he's free to do whatever. Then that's the 2nd degree, the D, which is a diminished chord, but again, we're not using chords here. It's a 3 notes per string technique. Pretty natural. Then again, still in key, and the next part is 3rd degree, G major, again, still in key. And we go down, 6th degree again, the C. 2nd degree again. Now we have something different. While he plays the 3rd degree, the G, he lowers the 5th, the dominant of the chord, and plays an E sharp instead of a B. He let go of the dominant. That's unique. But in here, the 15th isn't, the 15th fret in here isn't within key. So he could be wanting to use a chromatic note, and its solution is actually in the next part. But he does play it twice before he goes to that solution. So I am not sure if he's meaning to do that. In here, it most likely is. But I think in here, what he wanted to do is make it sound a little darker, because the two whole steps run is much happier than the basically a lowered third. Also, I think it's 12. I think for the whole purpose is to make it darker. I believe so, but again, I don't know. I don't know what Dan Backdoor thinks. But he actually solved that by going to the... That's an A sharp. He alternatively could have done that. It's the same thing, and that is the solution of the chromatic note. Let's see in here. Now we have a risen sixth. It should have been like this. If it was a minor key. It is a minor key. If it was a natural minor scale. He's doing a Dorian in here. I don't know if I could call it a Dorian because again there is no harmonic backing anything, so I'm gonna say he's just playing in notes. He's using different notes each time. But again, no backing track, he can do whatever he wants. Still in the Dorian aspect, there isn't sixth is still here. Now we're here. Now he's in the 7th degree, which is a D major chord. Now he's in key with the E natural minor, and then 3rd degree of the E natural minor. Now he's in natural minor again, the 5th degree. 6th degree, I'm sorry. And now he does 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, and bends a whole step to the tonic, which is the E note. So the guitar solo is written again in the key of E. I think the guitar solo is complicated because he's not staying within a certain scale. He's not using a certain pattern. The only pattern that has everything in here is the key, which again is how you're supposed to play a guitar solo without a backing track. You stay in key, but you're more free to do whatever you want. That's how music in the Renaissance was written, by the way. You had a key, and usually they used a mode that they could leave whenever they want. But yeah, that gave them a lot more freedom, and that's the guitar solo. It's really nice. If it's challenging for people who don't know their theory, but again, that's why I'm here. Someone who did a degree in this in this field. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thank you everyone so much for watching. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my music YouTube channel, and I have a music course on Udemy if you wanna become a big music nerd like me. So thank you everyone so much for watching, and see you in the next video.